I often pray several times a day, but I also pray before I sit down to do videos on what I should talk about. And today's theme came in the form of two past quotes that I've listened to that kind of melded together. I'm pretty sure they're two different ones. It might be from the same one. Maybe it's from a poem. I don't know. I'm going to look it up after this. But I'll just say the words as I heard them. Maybe there's somewhere you want to go, and maybe there's someone that you want to love. And I hope that you are living a life that you're proud of. And if you're not, I hope that you have the courage to change it. There's also been a reoccurring theme this week on my interactions, and if I hear certain phrases from different conversations all coming to me, I take note of those things that come in consistently. Or if there's reoccurring themes, then I take note of that consistency, because I look at that as a form of the universe, God, higher powers trying to make me aware of something. So this week I have talked to a lot of people. I've gone to counseling twice, and I love my counselor. She is wonderful and amazing, and she focuses a lot on energy and how to heal energy, how to clear that, traditional talk therapy. And she said this week that she was proud of me because in the last 2 weeks I've done about 3 months worth of work. So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. I do work very hard, and I'm glad that that is visible. It's nice to have that feedback sometimes. So I want to touch on the courage that people need to change the way that their business is flowing and how their personal brand is not reflecting their initial hopes, or maybe their brand is not producing the fruits or the money, because that's how we tend to measure our worth, right? And kind of how our net worth and our self-worth come together when we're structuring our offers. It comes into play, and they kind of mesh together into this marriage when we are setting our pricing. And with the services that I provide, I do take the time with each client to dig into what it is they're trying to accomplish. There's even been some jobs that, against my better judgment, I've taken smaller jobs that were not in line with, what I have already had on paper, and that's a learning experience for me. I do feel that that was kind of a test to see if I was really serious about what I'm doing. And anytime I go outside of the standards that I've set for myself, it usually does not end well. So I'm still a human being, and I still make mistakes, or I still, catch myself in those old patterns, but I pivot quickly out of that with all of the work that I've been doing. And so my services tend to not just talk about structure with the coaching included in it. It's not just, okay, charge this much and, do this thing, or helping people kind of work through and figure out what their ideal client is and all that. There's also this other portion of it, this coming to awareness side of the type of coaching that I do, this introspect side that I help people with, to really recognize their worth, their self-worth, so that then their net worth can be impacted by that. For me, when I rebranded, it was not enough for me to just provide imagery for people, for entrepreneurs, for coaches, for luxury brands, which is like my niche thing. I am a luxury brand in myself. I love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm an artist. I want to create art. I want to help other people with art. But I'm finding also that there's this life side to art, right? Because life ultimately is the the most elaborate and exquisite art form that there is. And so it's important for us to be artists and architects of our lives and our self mastery in order to have an effective personal brand and to be clear with our energy and who we are and what our standards are. Because a huge part of making more money on this end is the ability to say no to the things that are not in line with what we stand for on both the personal and the business side. I'm coming into awareness and seeing this kind of block in people where they want more money. They know they can do better for themselves. They're tired of living in scarcity, but they don't really know how to evolve past that. And that's kind of like what I want to help people do, is kind of push through those stick points that we all get to at one point, right? And it takes a village. It takes support. We are social, community-driven creatures, and it's okay to need help. I think that American culture can be damaging because it tells us that we're supposed to do it all by ourselves and we're weak if we don't. But I'm noticing that I'm becoming more successful because I have these different experts that niche in their own things. I utilize someone for my logo who's an expert at that. I'm going to counseling for someone who went to school for that, is an expert there. I'm, like, you're utilizing all these things. I'm starting to utilize coaching from people who are already doing it, already making the six figures, right? And so we all have these unique contributions, and it's okay to get help. I'm also feeling that there's a bad relationship with money. Even though people want more money that are coming to me, they have a negative connotation to people who have money. And I just feel intuitively like I have to ask, if you loved someone and you told them that you loved them, but you treated them like garbage, but you said that you loved them, like, what do you think would be more impactful? Do you think that saying that you loved them would matter, or would the energy behind your actions matter? I feel there's this similar problem with how we look at money, especially with everything going around like eat the rich, There's all this negative connotation to people who have money. So if you're saying that you don't like people with money, and you're talking about how, I feel like there's this mix up with an ambivalence with minimalism and wealth, or like to be a minimalist you have to be poor. Like, there's all these different things getting connected that feel like it's just missed connections. So there's a lot of bad thoughts about money. So the universe kind of works similarly. Like, we all have our own individual energy biomes, and the vibes we put out, buzzword, right, have their own geometric pattern, which is interesting because I was curious this week I had a thought about sacred geometry. Well, our energy presents as geometric patterns, and that's kind of how the universe responds with energy back, to know what it is that you are asking for. There's also metaphysics that comes into energy, where there's a heart coherence and we have like a mind coherence. And so we're constantly emitting energy, right? And on these frequencies, there is information. Every type of frequency holds some type of information. So you can say that you want to make more money, but are you really resonating with that? Are you really telling the universe that that's something that you want? with your energy and with your actions and your mindset. These are all important parts of us. To have coherence here and here, to be really aligned with it. And I just want to leave you with this thought, that if you do not change or grow your mindset to have an abundant thought process, to live abundantly, and stop living in scarcity, and you can't even help yourself, which is what I see happening a lot, I was in the same place, but once I knew better, I did better, and that's the goal, right? If we're living in scarcity and we're not charging appropriately for our services, and we can't even help ourselves, how can we help anyone outside of us? And I hear a lot of service-driven people saying, well, if I raise my pricing, then people can't get photos for me anymore and they rely on me to get photos. And I'll tell you, there's always someone who will do it less expensive. There are people who are still giving away free services, and they're always going to find someone who can do it cheaper. But that is not your problem. You're running a business, not a charity. And the people who are aligned and see the value that you're offering, they will book with you. And I see a lot of fear and a lot of scarcity still happening, but I want to also challenge you that if you don't change your life, if there's somewhere you want to go, if there's someone that you want to love, and you're not making those strides towards it, then it's not really happening. You're just staying within yourself. You're living within your inner reality of want. But if there's no action, if there's no outward display, if you're not constantly going towards something better and bigger for you, then these things will never happen. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So today, I hope that if you are not living the life that you want to live or making the money that you want to make, that you have the courage to show up for yourself and to change it. And if you would like my help with that, I would love to talk to you and sit down with you. You can go to my website, lindsaybryantbranding.com, and schedule a consult with me. And I hope you all have a great weekend.